Star Wars. Young Jedi Knights. The Lost. Chapter 4. Vicariously hungry after their adventure, the 4 young Jedi Knights followed Zeke back to where he made his home. Since much of Coruscant's population had fled the capital world during the devastating battles of the rebellion, many of the mid-level apartments had been left empty but still serviceable. People scraped out a decent existence there without being forced to live in squalor far below the bottom levels. For years, Zeke had shared quarters with old Peckham, a thin, gray-haired man with no particular career, but spent his days doing odd jobs, such as transporting cargo in his battered ship, the Lightning Rod, or performing whatever duties the New Republic required. Zeke and the old supply runner got along well and helped each other as if they were family, providing mutual support, company, and a place to stay. Zeke led the companions through the dim corridors on his way to his apartment. At the entrance, Jaina saw Peckham had installed a new messaging center beside the door so that visitors could leave video notes if no one was home. "We can kick back here for a while," Zeke said, tucking the hawkbat egg into the crook of his elbow as his nimble fingers punched an access code. The metal door slid aside to reveal a paradise of junk. Rooms stacked high with salvaged items, partially restored antiques, and strange gadgets whose original use had long since been forgotten. A small sapphire feathered bird flitted around inside, but Jaina couldn't tell if the creature was a pet or just some stray who had wandered in to look for nesting materials. A grizzled old man stood up from a rickety table where he had been poring over the manifest files on a scuffed datapad. He had lank, gray hair, a leathery face, and a broad smile, and very much needed a shave. "Ah, Zeke, you're back." He looked past the teenager. "And you brought guests. Hello, my young Jedi friends." Zeke sealed the door behind them, and Jason immediately began trying to catch the bird, while Tenelka poked around suspiciously in the packed cases and gadgets as if attempting to uncover traps. Lois sniffed at a clustered jumble of electronic equipment. Zeke beamed proudly as he held out a malted hawkbat egg. "Look at this prize," he said. "How much do you think we can get for it?" Peckham nodded with enthusiasm. He held out his hands to take the egg gently into his grasp. "More than 100 credits, I'll guess. Plenty of zoos and biological establishments are begging for a specimen like this." Jason said sternly, "Just make sure it goes to a good home. I made promises to its mother." Peckham laughed. "I never understand you Jedi Knights, but I don't suppose it'll be too difficult," he said. "In fact, I think I'll even talk to your mother. I heard a rumor that the chief of state was looking for some unusual biological specimens." Jason blinked at his eyes in astonishment. "Our mom wanted you to collect weird animals? She could have just asked me." Peckham shrugged. "I didn't ask why she wanted it. I think it's for some sort of diplomatic gift, and I think the egg with the proper incubating apparatus might do the trick." Jaina found a place to sit down, perching herself on the stack of recycled blankets that Peckham no doubt intended to sell to some alien merchant. Zekhem hurried off to prepare a quick lunch. "Last time I saw you, Peckham," Jaina said conversationally, "you were cornered by a jungle monster on the oven floor." Peckham laughed nervously at the memory. "I haven't been that scared in a dozen years. Let's hope your jungle room gets a little bit more civilized." "Are you making another supply run to the Jedi Academy soon?" Jason asked. "No, I've been assigned to riding the mirrors up in Coruscant orbit," Peckham said. "It's a lonely job, but the pay is good, and somebody's got to do it. Besides, it's relaxing, if you look at it that way." Because so much of the surface of Coruscant was covered by engineers had long ago found ways to make even the cold northern and southern latitudes more habitable. By focusing sunlight from huge orbiting mirrors, they could direct enough warmth to thaw land as far north as the Arctic, so that millions upon millions could live even in Coruscant's less hospitable areas. Jane understood the engineering difficulties of operating the huge automated mirrors, of making sure that the beams of direct sunlight shone down on appropriate areas. The job was not unlike the ancient task of running a lighthouse in an ocean world, where some people worked alone, ready for emergencies that rarely came. "Such an austere assignment would provide good environments for contemplation," Tenelka pointed out. "It does, all right. Peckham said. I just wish conditions weren't so, basic. What makes the mirror station so uncomfortable? Jaina asked. Don't you have entertainment systems and food processing units up there? Peckham snorted. According to the design, yes. But they're all malfunctioning. The mirror stations were set up long ago, even before the Emperor took over. During the Imperial years, tidying the mirror station was a punishment assignment to stormtroopers who disobeyed orders. Nowadays, the food prep units, entertainment systems, temperature control systems, even the communication systems all frizz out randomly. No repair tech is willing to go up and give the whole station an overhaul. The New Republic has so much other business. I'm afraid getting spiffy hollow reception for the mirror station isn't so high on anyone's priority list. Jason pursed her lips and placed her chin in her hands. Those symptoms you described sound familiar, she said. Could you be needing a new central multitasking unit? That might fix everything all at once. Peckham switched off his datapad and tucked it into a satchel hanging from his seat. I don't know, but those units are expensive and hard to come by. I've requested a new system 5 times. It's always been turned down. The resources of the New Republic are allocated according to the greatest need, he said as if quoting from a report. My comfort isn't a great need enough. He scratched his stubbed chin. Oh well, I'll survive. It's a job. Last month I used some of my own credits to get a handheld holo player to take up with me. It'll do. Zeke came out of the kitchen area balancing a stack of self-heating ration cans in his arms. I know where we can get a central multitasking unit. He pressed his chin against the top can of the stack to hold them all in position. Remember the old shuttle we found? Models like that had lots of subsystems. I bet they had units to run everything. Sure did, Jaina said, nodding vigorously. Those outdated passenger shuttles had all central multitasking units. They were cumbersome, but they worked. Peckham grinned and frowned. Well, I'm leaving tomorrow morning, and I'm not sure how to install one of those units myself, even if you did get it. Zeke waved his hand in dismissal. Relax, Peckham. I'll get one for you by the time you return. I promise. Jaina piped up, seeing an opportunity. And maybe next time you go to the mirror station, we could go along and help install it. Lavaca bellowed his interest in the project as well. Peckham's eyes widened in surprised delight. Well, I suppose it might work after all. Let's celebrate by eating lunch. The old man swept unsorted debris from a low table, clearing a spot for Zeke to set down the stacked cans of food. The dark-haired boy studied them and passed out rations to everyone. Warm steel curdled from the open lids as thermal units heated the contents. Jaina sniffed at her suspiciously, and Jason poked into the goo while Tenoka studied the label seriously. Lowy made a doubtful growl. You needn't complain, Master Labaka, ENTD said. I'm certain it's quite nutritious. See, the label bears Imperial Stamp of Approval. Zeke held up one of the cans. These are old stormtrooper rations. We found an entire cache in one of the lower buildings. They don't taste like much, but they have all our nutritional requirements. Tenoka dug in, grunting with satisfaction. Quite acceptable, she said. Jaina stirred the grayish putty-like substance, smiled as Zeke dug in, and took a small bite herself. It didn't taste bad. In fact, it didn't taste like anything, so she ate courteously. When they had finished, she stood up, meeting Zeke's emerald green gaze. Want to join us for the next mealtime? Zeke brightened. Fine, with me. When? Well, Jaina said, biting her lower lip and considering, since Peckham is leaving you all alone, why don't you come to Imperial Palace tomorrow night? We're having a holiday with my parents in the morning, but we're having some sort of special banquet in the evening. Banquets are usually pretty boring, but I'm sure we can get you invited. Really? Zeke said. Sure, Jaina answered. That's right, Jason agreed. We'll probably give 3PO the time of his life tending to us.